All right, it's showtime. Hi, folks. Today we will be covering a very important topic, which is the basics of Social Security retirement benefits and how to create a Social Security strategy in order to maximize you and your family's lifetime benefits. Which begs the question, why should we even consider approaching our Social Security benefits from a strategic point of view? But before we jump into it, I'd like to tell you a couple of quick stories that I've experienced to drive home the point of why we should be educated on Social Security and how it can make such a big difference in our lives when we are. First, at a routine meeting with a prospective client about 7, maybe 8 years ago at this point, I sat down with a couple where he was age 70 and she was age 65. He had worked paying nearly the maximum into Social Security for over 40 years, and he had been collecting his benefits since age 65. She had not worked when she was younger and raising their children, so she believed that her spousal benefit would be much lower than if she had her own worker benefit to draw from. So she had started her own cleaning business about 8 years prior to that with the goal of paying enough into Social Security over 10 years until she was eligible. It turned out that even if she had paid in for the full 40 quarters or 10 years, her worker benefit would still have been wouldn't have been as much as the spousal benefit that she was already eligible for prior to even working at all, and she didn't even know it. I have to tell you that they were stunned to hear that news. Second, I sat down with a woman who was a 60-year-old doctor. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago. She was wondering when the best time would be for her to take her Social Security benefit. She told me that she had asked her accountant and that he told her that since she had a 7-figure savings and a 6-figure income, that it wasn't really going to matter when she really took it, because it would just really be cream on top of everything. So she was going to take it at age 62, given what his advice was. They both had no idea that based on the Social Security rules, she would have not only been penalized her entire benefit for the first 4 years, but when she did eventually start getting it, it would be reduced by 25% for the rest of her life. To say the least, she was extremely surprised to find that out. Now, these are just a couple of examples of how important it is to know the rules when it comes to filing for Social Security benefits. And what's even more important is to find out the correct timing on when you and your spouse, if you're married, should take your benefits, if you're interested in getting the most money you can from the Social Security system over your lifetime. Now, these are the things that we're going to discuss on this webinar today. First, I'll give you a little history and facts about the Social Security system that most people should know. And then we'll discuss the rules when it comes to not just the Social Security system in general, but also each of the individual types of election choices that we have available to us. Once we do that, we'll look at some sample scenarios that could be used for strategies to enhance both a couple's and a single person's Social Security benefits. And in doing so, you'll be able to see for yourself exactly how much of a difference it can make when implementing a good Social Security strategy. Okay, now you guys have a clear understanding of what we're going to cover today. Before we jump into it, I'd first like to thank each of you for joining us today to discuss this very important topic. My name is Brian Dougherty of PLC Financial Solutions, and I'm your host for this webinar, along with my beautiful partner in business and life, Rachel Dougherty. Say hi, Rachel.
Hey, everybody.
And she's going to be our moderator for it, as always. But before we get started, let's take care of some general housekeeping first. If the screen is not big enough for you to read, you can click on the View Options drop-down at the top right of your screen to make it larger. Also, you'll see that there are two boxes at the bottom of your screen. One's called Chat. It's for your comments. And the other's called Q&A for your questions. Please use them accordingly, and Rachel will respond to them in kind. Next, I'm sure that many of you guys will have questions about the material as we go along. However, since we have a good bit to cover and only an hour to cover it, I'm going to ask you to put your comments and questions in those boxes below, or you can email them to us, even if you'd like, at info@plcfs.com, if that's easier for you. And at the end, we'll be staying for some extra time to cover as many of them as possible. However, if we don't cover yours, we'll be happy to answer it by either email or even a 15-minute Q&A phone call scheduled for another time. Rachel will be posting a link for you to schedule that at the end of the webinar. Next, this webinar is being recorded, and it will be sent to everyone who is attending tonight. So don't worry about missing anything. You'll have plenty of time to check it out again at your convenience. Also, because we want to make sure that you're all paying attention, and because we'd like you to have some fun as well, before we answer any questions, we have a 6-question quiz for you at the end. And the first person to answer each question correctly inside the comment box will win a $10 gift card to a store of your choice for each question. So make sure you have a notebook, a handy dandy notebook, to jot down some brief notes related to some special bullet points that I will point out as we go along. Finally, it is my obligation as a financial advisor and a fiduciary to inform you of our RIA's disclaimer statement, which is that our investment advisory services are offered through Fusion Capital Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor, and we only transact business in states where we are properly registered or are excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Also, SEC registration is not an endorsement of our firm by the Commission and does not mean that our advisors have attained a specific level of skill or ability. And most importantly, all investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. So now that we got that over with, I got one for you as usual. Here you go. What do clouds wear under their shorts? Thunderpants. I came up with that one on my own, Rach. Dug it up on the internet yesterday. All right. I'll keep the day job as usual. All right, so let's get started. Also, I want to mention that much of this material that we will be covering today has been obtained from the Social Security Consulting LLC website and their nonprofit sister company, the National Social Security Advisors Certificate Program, which is our nation's only accredited Social Security certificate program and the source of my own Social Security Advisor certificate. As you can see, let's cover a few facts. 9 out of 10 people age 65 and older are receiving Social Security benefits, which of course makes it a very big part of our retirement plans, and that much more important to plan ahead for when it comes to it. Because the employees at the SSA, although very well trained, are directly instructed to specifically not give advice when it comes to people's election choices and helping them to make the best choices with them. This means that you have to know what's best for you and your family before you sit to file your claim, whether it's at the Social Security Administration office or online. It doesn't matter. All right, some brief history. It was passed into law in 1935 under President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our Social Security program. People actually started receiving it in 1937. The family and survivors benefits were implemented in 1939. The first inflation adjustment was in 1950, and it was for a whopping 77% increase. The Medicare Act was passed in 1965 under Lyndon Johnson, which started the Medicare program. The first annual automatic cost of living adjustment, also known as the COLA, was passed in 1972 and went into effect in 1975. It started being taxed in 1983 under President Reagan. The penalty for working while collecting Social Security was eliminated for everyone at their full retirement age and beyond in the year 2000 under President Clinton. And finally, in 2024, it's the 89th birthday of our Social Security program. Happy birthday, Social Security. All right, let's discuss some of the differences in circumstances between what things were like when the fund first started and how things have changed over the years. In 1935, the average life expectancy was under 60 years old. Most people would not live to collect because you could not collect until age 65. It was designed to supplement retirement savings. And bullet point one, come on, write it down. Handy dandy notebooks, get them out. The worker to retiree ratio at that time was 160 people paying in for every one taken out. Write that down. That's important. The total benefits paid out for all claims in 1937 was $1.2 million. And at that time, the poverty rate for seniors exceeded 50%. Exceeded 50%. Now, what's it like today? Well, the average life expectancy is now 82 for a male and 85 for a female. People can outlive their retirement savings, making Social Security that much more important. Social Security makes up 40% of all current retiree income. Bullet point two. Come on, get the handy dandy notebooks out, jot it down. The worker retire ratio today is 2.8 people paying in for every one taken out. What a huge difference. Next, the total benefits paid annually in 2023 was $1.4 trillion. Trillion. And finally, the poverty rate for seniors today is less than 9.5%. Thank goodness we've done, and that's primarily because of Social Security. All right, the growth in the Social Security program over that period, like we said, they paid out about 1.2 million in 1937. 1950 was just under $1 billion. 1980, 247 billion. The year 2000, 407 billion. And it actually just went over $1 trillion in 2019, and now it's up to 1.4 trillion. Wow, that skyrocketed over the last even 23 years. All right, here's the breakdown of the percentages of how much was paid out in 2019. And again, last year in 2023, between the different types of benefit classifications. So, in just workers' claims, 2019, it was at 70.4. 2023, 87.4. For spousal claims, it was at 4%. 2023, 2.9. For children's claims, it was at 6.3%. And in 2023, it was 5.6%. Widowers' claims made up 6.2% of what was paid out in 2019. Last year was 5.5%. And disabled workers, 2019 was 13.1%. It's down to 10.9%. So I guess it's a good thing. All right. Let's talk about a really hot topic when it comes to Social Security. Will the benefit be there for us when we retire? A lot of people seem to think that it will not be there for us. And here are the facts about it. Bullet point three. Come on now, get the handy dandy notebooks out, jot it down. Bullet point 3 is our Social Security system is currently made up of 2 parts. Write these down. The first part is what they call the Social Security Trust Fund. The second part is what's called the Social Security Tax and Benefits Program. Now, the actual name of the Social Security Trust Fund, which is nothing more than a big savings account where all the annual surpluses have gone from the tax and benefits program since its inception. The actual name of it is the Federal Old Age and Survivors Insurance and Disability Insurance Trust Fund. That's a mouthful. Also known as the OASI and DI Trust Fund. Uh-oh. You have to go back. Hit the thing instead. Figure 2. Yeah, I did. The actual name of the Social Security Tax and Benefit Program is the Old Age Survivors and Disability Insurance Program, otherwise known as the OSSDI program. Of course, the old OSDI program. Always talking about it. In 2022, it ended with $2.829 trillion in it, all made up. The trust fund did. The trust fund had $2.829 trillion in it, and it was made up of all U.S. Treasury securities like T-bills, T-notes, and T-bonds. And even though in 2019 the trust fund was increased by $2.4 billion due to a surplus in the OSDI benefits in that year, in 2022 and 2023, it actually had a deficit and is expected to have a deficit from here on out. The problem with the fund is that it has been projected that the income it receives every year, which comes from 3 main sources right now: the Social Security payroll taxes, the income taxes that retirees pay on their Social Security benefits, and the interest on the U.S. securities inside the fund, trust fund. That altogether has not been keeping up with the expenses that are going out. In fact, the total of the 3 in 2022, this is the income, was $1,221.6 billion, or otherwise could be said as $1.2 trillion. Broke down like this. $1,106.6 billion came from the Social Security payroll tax, $48.6 billion from the Social Security income tax, and $66.4 billion from the U.S. securities interest. Now, even though that's a lot of money, it currently is not enough to cover the expenses the fund has, which include all the Social Security benefits being paid out every year and the administrative costs related to operating the fund, all of which totaled $1.2317 trillion in 2022. But the income of the program only totaled $1.22 trillion, which left a $9.9 billion deficit. And in 2023, it got even bigger, that deficit. It left a $40.7 billion deficit. So this means that deficit every year will need to be paid from the U.S. securities inside the Social Security Trust Fund, which is currently, in 2023, it was left at $2.6 trillion. And that if our Social Security program does not start to bring in more than it pays out, eventually the Social Security Trust Fund will run out. Now, many people believe that our Social Security program will become bankrupt at that point. But that is not what will happen. Here's what will happen. So, how long will it take to use up our entire Social Security Trust Fund? Which, like I said, is really just a big savings account for a rainy day for the Social Security program. Well, it's been a rainy day since last year. It's estimated to run out somewhere between 2033 and 2035. And since by law, our Social Security system cannot operate in the red and will no longer have a rainy day fund to pull from, the big question then is, what's going to happen to our Social Security benefits at that point? Well, at that point, the only sources of income going into the fund that will be available to pay our Social Security benefits and the administrative expenses for the fund will be the payroll taxes, also known as the FICA tax, and the Social Security benefits income taxes that our retirees pay every year. So it's been estimated that at that point, only about 70 cents on every dollar promised to people will be available to pay Social Security benefits. This means, as of now, the worst case scenario is that our Social Security benefits will be reduced by around 21% of what we were expecting to receive. So it will still definitely be there for us, but we just won't be collecting as much as we were originally promised, and as much as those who came before us received on a dollar-to-dollar basis. So I hope that clears that up. It's going to be here for us, but just not at the level we thought we were going to get it. All right. Since the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be getting whittled away at over the next 13 or 14 years, there have been many ideas that have been tossed around Congress to solve the problem before it gets out of hand. Here are the leading considerations. 1, move the full retirement age from 67 to 70. 2, all earnings would be subject to Social Security payroll tax, which currently has a $168,600 cap in it for 2004. So after anybody who makes over $168,600, once they reach that level, every dollar after that, they're not being charged the FICA tax on. Well, there's a proposal to lift that cap and just make all wages. It's also been calculated by economists that probably would be the most effective way to solve the problem single-handedly. Third, they're talking about means tested, whether so you pay into it all these years and then you have to qualify for it. I'm not for that. I don't, and I hope that doesn't happen. 4, decrease the percentage of delayed retirement credits. That could be a viable option. Hopefully it won't come to that. And delay eligibility age from 62 to 64. That might be a foregone conclusion at some point because of life expectancy so much longer than it was when the program started. And the final one is to reduce the COLA adjustments using the chain CPI-U index. It's currently using the CPI-W. It should be, though, using the CPIE for people that are older than 62 because it applies to that. E standing for elderly. Anyway, I'm not sure which one they're going to do, but my vote is to lift the cap on the payroll tax because that will solve the problem single-handedly, and it will also spread out the burden across all people. Now, before we start looking at the rules related to Social Security, here are the 4 main categories of benefits that are available. Retirement benefits, and they start at age 62, stop growing at age 70. Survivor benefits, for a surviving spouse, they get the higher of the 2 benefits once one spouse passes away. There's disability benefits. You have to qualify for these based on work record and the severity of your disability. And then the family benefits, and they can pay out as much as 180% of the worker's benefits to dependent family members. So let's jump into the general rules. Throughout this workshop, you'll hear a few terms and abbreviations related to Social Security. These are the most common that are used, definitely, that you should definitely be familiar with. Bullet point 4, jot it down your handy dandy notebook. Come on. The 1 is called the FRA. The FRA. And that stands for full retirement age. So if I asked you what the FRA means, it's an acronym that stands for the full retirement age. And I'm hitting you back to back. Bullet point 5. Come on, bullet point 5. The 5th bullet point, already we're into the 5th bullet point, is the PIA, that acronym. And that stands for the primary insurance amount. The PIA stands for the primary insurance amount. And the primary insurance amount is the benefit a person would receive if he or she elects to begin receiving retirement benefits at his or her full retirement age. At this age, the benefit is neither reduced nor for early retirement, nor increased for delayed retirement. And also, I just want to define the full retirement age is the age at which a person may first become entitled to full or unreduced retirement benefits. 3rd acronym is just the SSA. That stands for the Social Security Administration. And the final one is the COLA, like the cola, you drink it, right? That's your cost of living adjustment. And we get that every year based on what inflation's like. All right, let's talk about how to determine your full retirement age. So this chart kind of lays it out for you. And this is how you can kind of like understand it. When the fund started, everyone's full retirement age was age 65. Then Congress decided we needed to push the full retirement age back to eventually be age 67. But they made it where the largest block of folks born between 1943 and 1954 would have a full retirement age of 66 in order to drag the process out for a while. And then everyone's full retirement who was born between 1955 and 1959 would increase in 2-month intervals. And you can see that right here. So then it moved from 66 to 66 in 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. And then the same is true for everyone that was born between 1938 and 42. It went from 65 and he added 2 months to every year after that. That's the full retirement age of each of the people that were everyone who was born in these years. And finally, everyone who was born in or after 1960 or later would have a full retirement age of 67. I was born in 1967. My full retirement age is 67. Rachel was born in 1977, and her full retirement age is 67. So they haven't changed it since. All right. So how do you determine how do they determine how much our benefits are going to be? Well, this gets into a formula. It's not that super complicated, but I'm going to break down a little bit of how it works just to give you an idea. First, they multiply your past earnings by an indexed factor in order to adjust them for inflation. Second, they take our highest 35 years of earnings and add them all together. Third, they divide that total by the number 420, which is the number of months in 35 years. And the final number from this equation is referred to as your AIME, AIME, another acronym, which is short for your average indexed monthly earnings. This is not what determines your benefit amount, though. To determine your benefit amount, your AIME is used in what is called a Benz system, which is a little too complicated and time-consuming for this workshop, but just to kind of give you an idea, it works a lot like our tax bracket system. All you need to know, though, is for now, is that the result of the use of your AIME in the Bend formula is what they refer to as your PIA, primary insurance amount. And that is how much they determine what your full retirement age Social Security benefit is. So, it's a lot of thought that goes into that. At the end of the day, your full retirement age, at your full retirement age, you receive what's called your primary insurance amount. And they use this formula to determine what that is. All right, here are the rules related to individual benefits under different circumstances. So, collecting Social Security benefits before your full retirement age, see, will cause your benefits to be permanently reduced. See the percentage, these percentages on the graph? This chart shows how much the benefits will be reduced if your full retirement age is 66. And for the purpose of this workshop today, we will continue to use age 66 as the full retirement age. So you can see if you take it any of those 4 years you're eligible prior to full retirement age, it's going to be reduced proportionally. Now, collecting Social Security benefits after your full retirement age will result in your benefits being increased by 8% per year until age 70. This is simple compounding on top of also receiving a COLA adjustment increase. Of course, if you change the full retirement age in this scenario, the percentages of the decreases and increases of your benefit will change slightly as well. So when it comes to working while collecting Social Security, these are the rules as it relates to that. Remember, Social Security benefits were intended to be supplemental retirement income. So the Social Security Administration really wants you to be retired when you collect them. Therefore, they'll penalize you for collecting early if you're not actually retired. Now, bullet point six, final bullet point already. Unbelievable. Write this down. If you collect benefits early, you will be subject to what is called the annual earnings test. The annual earnings test. Write that down. The annual earnings test. That's what you get. That's what you're subject to when you collect benefits early and you're working, which looks exclusively at your earnings every year, actually. Prior to full retirement age, if you earn more than the threshold amount of $22,320, that's the updated 2024 amount, you will lose $1 for every two earned over that threshold. Now, keep in mind, this is on top of already receiving a reduced benefit for the rest of your life. Although, in the year that you reach your full retirement age, a different rule applies. The threshold goes up substantially. So if your birthday, say in August, starting in January of that year, the threshold goes from 22,320 to you can earn 59,520 without any kind of a penalty. That's the updated number. But after that, for every $3 you earn, the following year, they're going to subtract $1 of benefits from your future benefits. Now, once you make it to the month in which you turn your full retirement age, not your birthday, the month to where you change your full retirement age, then there's no threshold applied and you can earn as much as you want with no reductions in benefits applied for the rest of the time you're in retirement. All right. So you know too, this applies to all Social Security benefits except Social Security disability. Individual, spousal, child, and survival benefits that are collected before full retirement age will all get reduced if the worker whose claim they come from gets their benefits reduced. Although you should also know that these penalized benefits are not kept by the Social Security Administration forever. They're returned back to you once you turn your full retirement age, but not in a lump sum. Of course not. They'll be distributed evenly from the time you reach your full retirement age until you reach what the government sees as your life expectancy age. So they're going to spread it out over all them years. All right, now let's talk about spousal and survivor benefits. When it comes to spousal benefits today, the number one thing you must understand is what the term deemed filing means. And it's actually pretty simple. What it means is if you were born after January 1st, 1954, when you file for your benefits, it's considered that you are filing for all your Social Security benefits that you were eligible for at the same time. So if you're eligible for both a worker and a spousal benefit, then you are filing for both and will receive a combination of both in your benefit. This was not always the case, though. At one time, you could file for one and leave the other grow in the system until a later date, which was usually age 70 for most people. This allowed folks to more easily maximize their benefits, but that stopped as a result of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015. Also, there are a few more details you should understand when it comes to spousal benefits. One, you have to take your spousal benefits at your full retirement age in order to receive the full 50% of your spousal full retirement age worker benefit. Two, you have to be at least age 62 in order to qualify to receive a spousal benefit. And of course, at that age, it will be reduced by 30% if you take it at 62. Three, you must be married at least 12 consecutive months before you're entitled to it. So if you get married later in life, after age 62, you can't file a spousal benefit on your new spouse until you're married for at least 12 months. Now, when you file, if you're eligible for both worker and spousal benefits, the end result is that you'll receive the higher of the two. If your spouse were to pass away while you were still married, you have to be married at least 9 months to receive a widow or widower's benefit or on your spouse's work record. The only exceptions to that are that if your spouse passes away as a result of an accident or from active military duty. Now, when it comes to divorce spousal benefits, you have to have been married at least 10 years to collect on your ex-spouse's record. At least 10 years. You have to be currently unmarried. You can't be married again and collect on an ex-spouse's record. And you have to be, and you and your ex-spouse must be at least age 62. So if you're trying to collect on your ex-spouse's record, okay, you can't until they're at least age 62. Now, if you're less than 2 years than your ex-spouse, if you're divorced for less than 2 years, then your ex-spouse must be receiving either retirement or disability Social Security benefits for you to be eligible to receive a spousal benefit. So in the first 2 years of being divorced, in order to get a spousal benefit, your ex-spouse has to be collecting a benefit. Now, if you're divorced for 2 years or more, your ex-spouse does not need to be collecting a benefit for you to be eligible to take your benefits off their work record. All right. Getting a little deeper here. Talk about divorced survival spousal benefits. Divorced. So you're divorced, and now while you're divorced, your ex-spouse passes away. You're still eligible for benefits for them. There are some caveats to that. This is a situation where your ex-spouse passes away after you were already divorced. You have to have been married again to your deceased ex-spouse for at least 10 years. You must be at least age 60 to collect. So it actually lowers the age in the ex-spousal survivor. So you don't have to be 62. You can be 60. And you can actually take it at age 50 if you're disabled. However, when you collect any Social Security benefit before your full retirement age, it will be a reduced benefit. Now, after age 60, you can be unmarried or you can be married, as long as it happens after age 60. And you'll be eligible. Again, it will be a reduced benefit if you collect before your full retirement age, but you will be eligible. Now, before we discuss some different strategies to consider, let me state a few bullet points. And these are different bullet points. These aren't bullet points, just regular bullet points. First, again, remember that since Social Security claims reps are not allowed to give you advice to help you to maximize your benefits, you have to create your own plan to do it. 2, if you're part of a family where multiple people will be eligible for benefits, it will give you a greater opportunity to maximize your benefits if you can coordinate the timing of how they are all implemented. 3, to really fine-tune a plan to get every penny out of the system. You can't be thinking in terms of taking your benefits at the standard exact ages of 62, at your full retirement age, or at age 70. That's called inside the box thinking. And it won't produce a maximum benefit situation 99% of the time. Next, you have to micromanage the benefits by taking into consideration all the various benefit types that each person is eligible for and the combination of all 96 months that each person is eligible in. and then combine each person's optimal months for each benefit available to them together to find the combination that will produce the maximum amount received overall. This is what we call situational Social Security, or out of the box thinking. It takes a little doing, which is probably why 90% of people don't do it, but believe me, it can be worth it, especially over your lifetime. Don't rely on claims reps to help you do it because they are specifically instructed not to give folks advice. Okay, now let's take a look at some advanced filing strategies so you can see for yourself how your benefits could be increased by timing and planning to file them at strategic times. Okay, so this is Jeremy and Samantha, our fictitious married couple planning out their Social Security benefits. Jeremy is the higher wage earner, and they both have a full retirement age of 66. If they both started collecting at age 62 and had life expectancies of 75 for Jeremy and 82 for Sam, so life expectancies on the shorter end of things, then Jeremy would receive his own reduced monthly benefit of $1,650. His full, that being reduced as compared to his full retirement benefit, it would be reduced 25%. Samantha will receive her own reduced monthly benefit, which is $450. That's her full retirement age reduced by 25%. In addition, though, to the there will be a $350 spousal benefit for Samantha. That's reduced by 30% because the spousal benefit is reduced 5% more than the worker benefit when taken at age 62. And she'll get that until Jeremy passes away at age 75. When Jeremy passes away at age 75, Samantha will be eligible to receive his $1,650 for survivor benefits. Her previous benefits would stop since the $1,650 is greater than the $800 she was collecting. At the end of the day, they received $550,200 completely out of the Social Security system throughout their whole lifetime. So this is the scenario where they both take it at age 62, their earliest years. So now we're going to look at the three most common ones. That was the first most common one. And this is the second most common one. They both take it at their full retirement age. Now, had Samantha and Jeremy both waited until full retirement age, Jeremy would then receive his full retirement benefit amount of $2,200. Samantha would receive her full retirement benefit amount of $600 and an additional $500 of spousal benefits. When Jeremy passes away again at age 75, Samantha would then be eligible to receive his $2,200 as a survivor benefit. Even though they received benefits for a lesser period of time, because they received higher amounts, they actually received $580,800 back out of the system. So, which is roughly $30,000 more from if they had taken it if they took it at age 62. Now let's look at the last most common scenario of both taking it at age 70. Had they waited until 70, they would have only received $532,224, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? You wait to age 70 to get the max out, but this scenario shows a shorter life expectancy. In this scenario, it will actually produce less than if they both took it at 66 or 62. That's now, when you don't have the longevity, Jeremy in this case only living to 75, waiting to 70 may not always be in your best interest. That's why it's suggested that you always consider your potential life expectancy along with different age and benefit combinations to see which will provide you with the greatest amount of benefits and flexibility under different circumstances. Now, let's get creative. Now we're starting to think about Social Security strategies. What if the lower earner, in this case, Samantha, started collecting at age 62, but Jeremy waits until age 66? Since Jeremy has not filed at first, Samantha would only receive her own worker benefit. She would not receive her spousal benefit at that time then. Because of deemed filing, if he's filed and she files, automatically she'll get hit with deemed filing and they will make her take both. But if she takes a worker benefit, he doesn't file, she's only going to get that. Many times, this is a very good strategy for a lower earning spouse to use, while the higher earner spouse waits until their full retirement age or later. In this situation, Samantha begins collecting her reduced worker benefit of $450 at age 62. Jeremy files for his worker benefits at age 66, gets his $2,200, and in turn, then Samantha is now eligible to begin receiving her additional $500 spousal benefit because Jeremy finally files. Also, because she's at her full retirement age when she begins the spousal benefit, that portion is not reduced anymore. At the end of the day, by using this strategy, Jeremy and Samantha collect $584,400 from Social Security throughout their lifetime, which is greater than what they would have received at their inside the box ages of 62, 66, and 70. This is the result of using what we call a situational Social Security strategy or out of the box claiming strategy. Now let's add some longevity to the mix. If Jeremy lives to age, say, 85 and Samantha to 92, that last strategy we just talked about no longer provides the largest amount of benefits. The best option for Jeremy and Samantha in this case would be for them to both begin collecting at age 70, where they would collect over $50,000 more throughout their lifetime, taking them from $962,040 to $1,012,704. In fact, with longevity on their side, if they both took their benefits at their full retirement age, that too would actually work out slightly better for them, producing an additional $14,400, taking them from $962,400 to $976,800. Again, you can see here why it's important to look at several different scenarios and to do your best to apply what you think is more likely to prevail in your situation as far as longevity is concerned, especially if you're health conscious and the folks in your family tend to live long lives. Hence, situational Social Security. Okay, now let's look at the total different scenario, a total different one. In this scenario, another time to potentially switch between benefits is when a widow or widower is entitled to survivor benefits. So this is a totally different type of scenario. And if they have a good sized worker benefit as well. In many cases, folks like Jeremy and Samantha might compare their worker benefit to their survivor benefit and just do what seems most logical and collect the higher of the two benefits, which is what most people do. However, the best way to maximize their benefits would be to start collecting one and then switch to the other at age 70. So it can grow that 8% per year for those extra 4 years. So in this scenario, if it was Samantha, she would collect her survivor benefit at age 60. Thus, by receiving a reduced survivor benefit for the first 10 years collecting, she allows her worker benefit to grow all the way up to age 70. Then at age 70, she begins collecting her own worker benefit, which has grown from $2,904 from $2,200. That's 132%. These gray boxes with the age and lifetime total benefits in them apply to only the worker benefit if this person started collecting it at those ages. Age 60 is 0 because a worker benefit cannot be collected until age 62, but a survivor benefit can be. Now, using this strategy could actually boost her lifetime income by around roughly $200,000. It also allows her to collect just under $1 million throughout her lifetime. So if this strategy is feasible for someone, they could collect an extra $200K in retirement, which I am sure could go a long way for most people. All right. So I hope after looking at the Social Security strategies rules and these few strategies, you guys now have a better idea of what is possible when it comes to how to get the most from your Social Security claims. These are literally hundreds. There are actually literally hundreds of combinations like these that can be compared depending on the age and marital situation that applies. Okay, with that said, then I guess the big question for you guys today is, how can this work for you? Which I'm sure gets to the heart of why many of you chose to attend this workshop today. So here's my thoughts when it comes to that. Figuring out which claiming strategy will work best is not actually the easiest thing to do to compute mathematically. If you count every single month that a person is eligible for Social Security benefits, there are 96 benefit amounts that apply to each person for each type of benefit that they are eligible for. Then, if you add a second person to that mix, you can see how it can get very complicated quickly. That is why in our office, we use a Social Security planning software to calculate that for us. What you're looking at in this slide is the information from pages of the report that it generates for us. These pages show us the 3 best scenarios for the client, one of which is considered the optimal scenario. What I would like to do is to offer everyone that has attended this workshop today a complimentary Social Security strategies report like this one. Now, for us to generate this report for you, we first have to meet to collect some information from you to create it. For you to do that, Rachel will be posting a 60-minute meeting link in the chat box. You have that link, Rach? Okay, you can post that now. With that link, you'll be able to schedule a time that works best for you, for us to meet, one time for us to collect the information from you, and a second time for us to deliver the report and the results that come with it. We can do these meetings either online through Zoom, which will be very much like this webinar, except that we'll both be able to see and hear each other, and it will be completely private. Or we could do it at our office in Fort Washington, PA. It is literally right off the turnpike. It's completely up to you. The only thing that I'd like to say about it is that the sooner the better, because my busy time of the year is coming up in March and April. Well, folks, that concludes our presentation for today. So we can now actually jump into our 6-question quiz. Then we'll answer some questions before we conclude the webinar. All right. Let's make sure you're looking at the how are we going to do this? In the Q&A, did I say, or the chat? What do we usually do? The Q&A, Rach? All right. Let's just say you're going to
Which one came?
answer it in the Q&A because you posted the links in the chat, right?
Yeah, the link's in the chat. So you want to go to the questions?
Yeah, we'll go to the Q&A.
Okay.
All right. First question. Remember those bullet points. When Social Security started, what was the worker to retiree ratio? When Social Security started.
Okay. Yep. It looks like Lisa got it. It was 160 to 1.
That's right, Lisa. Great job. Put in if you could, put in there what store you'd like your gift card from. We generally like to try to send them in emails. So Amazon works real well, but I've done them to, Target, all different places. Now, number 2, what is the current worker to retiree ratio today? The current worker to retiree ratio today. Remember, it was 60 to 1 when Social Security started. What is it today? Uh, 2.8 to 1. Lisa was paying attention. Great job, Lisa. All right. Third question. What are the two parts of the Social Security system? Name one of them. Name one of the two parts of the Social Security system. Which one? What's the music of that? What's that go to?
Oh, wait.
Name one of the two. Come on, Lisa. We're counting on you now. Everybody else is laying down on us. One of the two. Yes, tax and benefit program. Great job. All right, number 4. What does the acronym FRA stand for? I know she's going to get it. FRA. What we got?
Oh, I see it. We got Kevin got full retirement age.
Kevin got full retirement age. Good job, Kevin. All right, someone else jumping in here. That was number 4. Number 5. At what age does a person receive their primary insurance amount, or PIA? I'll give you a hint. The one before this. Yes, full retirement age. Oh, no. Yes, full retirement age. That's right. Same thing. Wait, I'm confused.
Okay, so go ahead. Yeah, we got that one. Number 6.
Okay. Number 6. What test will you be subject to if you collect your Social Security benefits prior to your full retirement age? What test will you be subject to if you collect your Social Security benefits before your full retirement age? Come on, last one, guys.
Yep. Lisa got that one too. Annual earning test.
Great job. So Lisa got 5 of them and Kevin got 1. Great job. Kevin, let us know where you'd like to have your gift card from. Awesome. Great work, everybody. Paying attention. We're having fun. All right. Now we're going to ask some questions, answer some questions. So, any questions in there or any in the email, Rachel?
Yeah, there's a few here. Let's see. Um, do you think that it always makes the most sense to delay collecting Social Security as long as you can?
Well, a lot of people do believe that, because you get a higher benefit. And, depending on the circumstances, it can make the most sense, but it doesn't always make the most sense um, because like the example I just showed you, if there is short lifespan, you can actually get less and for waiting too long. So no, it isn't always the best scenario. Um, Even though, it may seem intuitively like it would be.
Okay, here's another one. It says, if my wife retires earlier than me and she is the higher earner, would it make sense for her to file for her spousal benefits first,
Would it make
then for her worker benefit at 70?
would it make sense for her to file her spousal benefit first?
Right.
And if she's filing before him,
I guess so, because it says if my wife retires earlier than me and she is the higher earner, would it make sense for her to file for her spousal benefit first?
oh, yeah, that's a great question. Well, it would make more sense, but the problem is you can't do it anymore. They used to let you do that. Um, you could do it two different ways. Before, you could do it where they had a strategy called file and suspend, and they had one called a restricted application, which just actually went away this year, um, as a result of the bipartisan budget act of 2015. But unfortunately, she can't even do that. Now, she could file her worker benefit, like in that one strategy I talked about with Jeremy and Samantha, um, early, and then once that you retire, file her spousal benefit, and at that point they would she would get a higher spousal benefit, so that could help, but she can't file a spousal benefit first.
Got it. Okay, a couple more. I am planning retiring and collect my Social Security at age 62 and then working as a consultant to my former employer while in retirement. Is this a bad move based on the income limits that you mentioned?
Well, it could be if you're going to be making more than $22,320 consulting. In that case, for every $2 you make over that, the following year they're going to take $1 back. So, if an example, if you made double that, say 44,000, whatever, 640 or something, then you'd end up actually losing your entire benefit the following year. So it could be if you're making less than that, or if the amount that you're going to make over it isn't that much and you can handle the reduction the following year and it still makes sense. Um, but otherwise, you might be better off waiting until the year you turn your full retirement age, where the threshold goes up to like 59,520 by this year's stage, but it'll probably be higher in the future. Um, and then even if you do make over that, as long as it's not a lot over that, the penalty reduces. Like for every $3 you make over it, there's $1 reduction the following year. So, you know, it probably is better. I might want to think that through. Just depends on what you're going to make consulting.
Okay, there's one more here. It just says, my adult child just became disabled and moved back in with us. Can he file a Social Security claim on my work record?
adult child move. Well, yeah. The problem is though, it only goes up to age 20. You have to be disabled before age 22. I don't know. That could be the scenario. Usually, kids don't move back in by then. They usually don't even move out by then.
Anymore.
Right. But if that scenario, yeah. But otherwise, he'd have to probably file his own social disability claim, social security disability claim if he has a work record, or he'd have to maybe turn to SSI, supplement security income claim, something like that.
Right. Okay, that's it.
All right, cool. All right, folks. In conclusion, I'd like to thank everyone who took the time out of their busy schedules to attend our workshop today. I truly commend you for being the type of people that are looking to better inform yourselves on important topics like this. Again, folks, on behalf of myself, Brian Dougherty, and my wonderful, beautiful partner in business and life, Rachel Dougherty of PLC Financial Solutions, located in the Fort Washington area, you can get in touch with us if you have any questions related to our topic today or anything else by either calling us at 215-804-9708 or by emailing us at info@plcfs.com. Or you can also just go to our website, plcfs.com, or even schedule a complimentary 15-minute Q&A phone call. You did put a link up for that, right, Rach?
Yep, putting it in there actually.
All right. And then we'd be happy to discuss whatever's on your mind. Also, folks, we want to let you know that this is our last workshop that we'll be doing in a webinar form for a while. We will be changing to a radio/video podcast form starting next month. It will be less of a classroom type format and more of a discussion based format, where you'll be able to either verbally ask questions or make comments along with myself and sometimes some other guests that will be part of it. Most of the time, there will be some guests. We're extremely excited about the new format and are greatly looking forward to it as well. We will still be holding them on the last Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. And it will start on Tuesday, March 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. Also, we will be leaving this meeting live for the next 30 minutes, so you can click on any of these links that Rachel posted up to schedule with us, or to copy and paste them to somewhere else you can have access to them later. They're also on our website under the Schedule a Meeting tab if for some reason you lose them. Okay, folks, that's it for tonight. Have a great end of your month and an even greater start to next month, your March, and we will see you next month. Goodbye.
Have a great night, everybody.